We are back with the 2018 Charlotte VGC Regional Championships, and I'm here with Downtown Joe Brown, bringing you the best show around for top four. You like that one?
You just said around town.
No. I'm good at rhyming because I'm a writer. Anyway, we've got a really good match here. It is Wolfe Glick versus Nathan Wright. Both players you've seen already, some more than others, one more, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be a good matchup.
For any of you math fans out there, we were told a little nugget of information.
Oh yeah.
That Nathan Wright has been to the exact same amount of regionals that Wolfe has won regionals.
So no pressure.
Yeah. So that's really showing how Nathan has only been to a few things, but how impressive Wolfe Glick's history is with the amount of regionals he's had.
I mean, Wolfe is hands down, I think, the best player in North America historically. I mean, he's made it to Worlds so many times. He's obviously been a world champion before, and he's still a good player. I mean, you can never even count him out. Even when his 2017 season, he didn't have to try too hard. He had that guaranteed invite, and he didn't get any big finishes then, but except until the World Championship again, where he top cut. I mean, he's one of only two American players who was able to make it that far. So just a testament to how talented he is and how smart he is with the game. And we have these teams, and it raises a question: do we think that Nathan can snatch victory with that Gardevoir, the Aegislash, the Incineroar, the Landorus, the Tapu Fini, and the Zapdos against Wolfe's Charizard X, the Special Landorus, Aegislash of his own, Tapu Bulu, Milotic, and the Tyranitar?
Well, I'm a man who appreciates a good pun, and that snatch was a very good pun, my friend.
I got to make up for the bad rhyme earlier. So.
Our players locking in quickly. Obviously, the key that we saw for Wolfe in his match yesterday on stream and in top 8 was how the survivability of his Charizard X with Roos, with Will-O-Wisp, really, he wasn't worried about, and this is such a Wolfe classic, he's not worried about doing damage, he's trying to prevent you from doing it. So if Nathan doesn't have an answer, his best answer for Will-O-Wisp is Tapu Fini, so let's see if he goes with that.
Well, it looks like Wolfe doesn't want to lead with the Charizard. Instead, the Tyranitar and the Aegislash. Nathan, meanwhile, has the Zapdos and the Gardevoir, and we're getting a little bit of information here in terms of speed tiers. It was the Zapdos first with the Pressure, the Tyranitar next with the Sandstream, and Gardevoir last with the Trace.
So that's probably a very, very slow Gardevoir, and maybe a little bit more speed in the Tyranitar. Of course, and it does have Dragon Dance, so you can assume that it wants to reach some of those nice speed tiers. But Mega Gardevoir, once it traces, is going to lose that unnecessary Sandstream ability. But it really is not safe right now. It's not. It can go for a super effective Fairy type attack onto Tyranitar, but if it stays in, it is going to eat, say, Shadow Ball, potentially from the Aegislash. So maybe it could be a Tailwind Protect turn, but that's not what's going to happen.
Well, Zapdos is coming out for the Fini. Will have a much better time taking a potential Rock Slide, though. If I know Wolfe, he's likely going to want to position himself into a better spot. Yep, there goes that Tyranitar. And if this is a Milotic, that's going to be in a much better position to take either a Hyper Voice or any eventual Water Attack. But it looks like Gardevoir is coming out now for the Incineroar. And this is really what Wolfe wanted to see, because the Intimidate will proc the competitive ability. So now Milotic gets a free +2 boost to its special attack, and it is in prime position to just scald this Incineroar up against the wall.
So when Steph Curry makes a 30-foot shot in basketball and pumps his fist, I feel like that's how Wolfe feels right now.
Right.
The perfect competitive turn. It is such a great feeling when you have competitive Defiant Pokemon who at the exact right moment make it onto the field.
Yep.
And because Tyranitar was faster than Gardevoir, it switched out first.
Yep.
And then Incineroar came in intimidating, and Milotic said, thank you very much. Now I have +2 in my special attack.
Well, Aegislash is going to switch out since it can't Toxic in this Misty Terrain, but Bulu will help with that. So it's going to get rid of the Misty Terrain, grant some passive recovery to the entire field, and Incineroar, scared out by this Pokemon, is going to summon Zapdos back to the field, and Thunderbolt's going to be a lot better suited. Pressure here not mattering a whole lot. But let's see how Zapdos takes this Scald, because it didn't get the Misty Seed yet, now that the grassy terrain is here. Also, Tapu Fini going to Calm Mind, so it will help its damage output, but it's not going to help it survive something like a Wood Hammer any better.
Yeah, the Calm Mind definitely does not help its physical defense, and Tapu Bulu, Wolfe has been a big proponent of Tapu Bulu throughout the last 2 seasons of VGC, and it is in a strong spot. It can take a Hidden Power Ice or obviously a Thunderbolt, anything offensive from Zapdos. It can take a Heat Wave as well. Wolfe always builds bulky Bulu, and the Tapu Fini, it did increase its special attack and defense, which will help against Melodic. But the question is, with Fini staying in, what is it actually attacking? What damage is it providing to Nathan's cause on this turn, super effectively at least against Wolfe's Pokemon?
Well, and we know that's a super fast Tapu Bulu, right? And yeah, as we can see, it's going first, absolutely here, smashing that Tapu Fini like it was an Araquanid from yesterday, and that is going down. No boost is going to save that, and now Zapdos does get a chance to set up a Tailwind, but it could certainly be threatened by this Milotic, and it is going to get a Scald off, and so based on the damage from last time, that is, oh wow, actually no, Zapdos survives the attack, but it's the Sand that ends up doing it in, and now that is a quick 2 KOs from Wolfe.
And the Tyranitar with Sand not even on the field gets a knockout there thanks to its weather. So that's a nice job for Wolfe, having 3 Pokemon contributing on one turn in a doubles format.
It's always good when you have a Pokemon that can contribute from the bench. You know, if we're keeping with the basketball.
He's got good leadership. Yeah,
right, exactly. So Gardevoir and Incineroar are Nathan's last 2 Pokemon, and how do you think that is going to help him going forward?
So it is curious that Tapu Fini didn't protect, considering Zapdos went for a Tailwind. It knew it was going to get knocked out after it, so it had one last turn to do what it could to support the rest of the team, which was Tailwind, meaning that Incineroar has fake out pressure this turn. He can fake out the whoever Nathan thinks is the bigger threat, a Milotic, Scald, or a Tapu Bulu Wood Hammer in grassy terrain. I would assume that Bulu is the bigger threat right now.
That Milotic's +4.
But it's what do you have to stop Melodic anyway? At this
I guess
point?
That's a good point. Yeah,
right? Like,
I mean,
you can't stop it. So just try to get rid of. I guess you could fake out the Melodic, but then next turn you're still in the same boat. The problem with Nathan's competition, and why I was saying it was important to protect Tapu Fini that previous turn instead of letting it be knocked out for free with Woodhammer, is you're now stuck with your final 2 Pokemon, and Tapu Fini would have handled Milotic Scalds better than either of Nathan's Pokemon right now.
Yeah, so Gardevoir is going to try and do what it can with a Mega Evolution. Tapu Bulu just wants to stay safe this turn. It's going to protect, which means it doesn't have to worry about a fake out. Actually, Wolfe, he's saying, I've got a plan, and I don't want you to interrupt it. So no fake outs for me. Just takes it slow, and that's a classic Wolfe play, as the Hyper Voice also does no damage.
But no fake out from...
No, it did fake out.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah. I saw it go into the protect. Right. So... that's just a very safe, simple play from Wolfe to double protect. It just seems like, all right, I'll just wait out next turn and use my Milotic to knock out your Incineroar and my Bulu to knock out the Gardevoir. I think it's at this point Wolfe doesn't have to do any mind games. Just keep it simple. Go for a super strong Wood Hammer and then this +4 Scald into Incineroar, and start thinking about game plans for game 2.
Yeah, so okay, Gardevoir actually faster than the Bulu, gets a Psyshock onto the Milotic, does actually a pretty good amount of damage. That's good info for later. And the knockoff, does this double get it? No, the Wiki Berry is gone, but it survives, and that means that a Wood Hammer can come out, no problem picking up the KO on the Gardevoir with a big crit. So that Pokemon is gone, and now it is this big boosted Sneck is going to get a Scald off onto the Incineroar, and that's gone too. Wolfe with a convincing 4-0 victory.
Yeah, that was phenomenal play by Wolfe there, and both players nodding at each other, noticing that critical hit on Woodhammer didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But the Wolfe is always a very bulky team builder. I remember once he did an interview where he said he went to the World Championships and I think all 6 of his Pokemon had no investment in any of their offenses. So like that's how much HP and defense he puts into his Pokemon.
Right.
So the Melodic, the beauty of having Intimidate, Incineroar, and Landorus, and Gyarados, and Salamence, and all these Intimidators in the format is he can take that investment from Melodic's special attack and put it in able to survive the double target from Nathan, because that turn, I don't know if it would have changed anything since it was still 3v1, but it would have looked better than a 4-0.
Right. Well, and Wolfe, I think it's safe to say that he really knows what to do going forward here, but Nathan is going to have to think a lot more because that game didn't go so well. But I'm wondering, we didn't see the Aegislash or the Landorus from his side. And what do you think? Do you think either of those is going to help him?
Well, the Incineroar, it's in such a peculiar place because he needs it because of Tapu Bulu and Aegislash, and it can, depending on if it has a fighting type attack for the Tyranitar, it is important for Nathan's team, but just by proxy of bringing Incineroar, it automatically boosts Milotic, and we saw twice with 2 competitive boosts. So that's really the tough spot that Nathan has put himself in against Wolfe.
All right, well, Wolfe has actually decided to mix it up. He wants to bring in his special Landorus here, and the Intimidate not going to matter, and the Tapu Fini and the Gardevoir for Nathan, but the competitive gets traced just too late. And so in that case, I mean, I guess you're glad that you didn't trace the Intimidate so that you didn't give a boost to the Melodic.
I was actually thinking about that. I was like, no, Gardevoir, what if you trace Intimidate?
Right. But like, what a bummer that you can't get access to competitive and get a special attack boost for your own Gardevoir. That could have been huge.
Because you're going to Mega Evolve anyway. So Trace is one of those abilities where it's a turn 1 thing.
Right.
It's before you Mega Evolve. It might be able to help you out. I don't know, back in the day, you might trace Parental Bond and then not Mega Evolve.
Yeah.
So you do that. But now it's just free for Nathan to Mega Evolve and not worry about that competitive it got.
Well, we see a U-turn from the Landorus. Even though it's special, it has this physical move, great for positioning. Gets a crit onto the Gardevoir, getting a lot of damage. And now Wolfe is going to be able to pivot perhaps into this Aegislash, which will be able to take a Hyper Voice, no problem. So Scald coming out into that same slot, going to bring the Gardevoir into about a third of its health, and Finny gets a free Calm Mind. So it's water type attacks, not going to do a whole lot to the Milotic, but it could come in handy for this Aegislash. But Gardevoir sets up the Trick Room, so that is something we saw in Nathan's top 8 set, but the Aegislash coming in is going to make that a bit of a problem.
But that is a much better turn 1 for Nathan here in game 2.
Right.
His Pokemon are generally slower with the Gardevoir and Tapu Fini, probably not having a much investment in speed, but Wolfe, knowing that, uses his U-turn to bring in Aegislash, who is also slow.
So I think that Nathan, understanding his Gardevoir could be in danger, is going to protect, but that gives Wolfe the chance to set up a free substitute. Fortunately, Nathan is able to punish that, or at least stop that from becoming a problem by scalding into that slot. So that is pretty much a null turn. Aegislash actually takes some damage as a result, though it gets Leftovers recovery and gets a little closer back to full HP.
Wolfe always puts himself in a good spot. Nathan, with a protect on Gardevoir and going for a substitute, you could have seen that as Wolfe saying, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I have a free turn to sub." But what it also did was a Calm Mind boosted Scald from Tapu Fini would have done more than the 25% that Aegislash lost on that turn. So Wolfe with Leftovers can just keep substituting.
Yeah, and he absolutely loves this move. It's something that he uses on most of his teams, I would say.
I think he had 4 substitutes on his Pokemon in London, right?
Yeah, not this year, but the year before. So Aegislash substitute will go away as Milotic now gets a chance to do some real damage to the Gardevoir. Hyper Voice coming out, not going to do a whole lot to the Aegislash, but it gets a nice chunk onto the Milotic, and now Aegislash recovers with the Leftovers, but it's still below 50%. And honestly, Wolfe substitute might be doing more damage than Gardevoir is.
Yeah, actually, at that point, substitute's not resisted. It's always a fixed amount of HP. But the Aegislash, being the slowest Pokemon on the field, means it goes first under Trick Room every time.
Yep.
So I don't know how much of a win condition it is to keep taking out 25% of your own HP. This turn definitely makes sense because Gardevoir might protect again, so you can get the get substitute. But the next turn after that, if Gardevoir is still on the field, you can go for a Scald or any attack to knock it out since it's such low health.
Right, well, Wolf, valuing his HP over a substitute, decides to go for a King Shield, and he actually just double protects with the Milotic. So Scald not doing any damage, and neither will this Hyper Voice, but the important thing here is that the Gardevoir did not protect, so it's able to do that on the next turn.
And now that is the mental battle that Wolf and Nathan find themselves in on this turn. The same situation. This is the last turn of Trick Room, so does Gardevoir protect again so it is faster than the Aegis Slash on the next turn?
And I think you kind of... It's so hard. I guess you don't give him a free sub. You keep the Gardevoir around because you don't take damage from a Scald on Milotic. So I think you do protect, and you just try to force this Aegislash to not be behind a sub when the speeds reverse, and then you can Scald it before it can substitute. And then maybe you switch Gardevoir into something that can handle things better. So Wolf actually switching out the Aegislash. He wants to bring in the Tapu Bulu, which is going to be faster than this Finny. We already know that. The Grassy Surge will overwrite the Misty Terrain, which means these Scalds can burn. That may not be a big deal here going forward, but it could be relevant. Gardevoir protects, so it's not going to have to worry about a Scald. Milotic going for a Moonblast, but what slot? If this goes into Milotic and gets a special attack drop, it could trigger Intimidate, but no, that doesn't happen. He dodges the bullet, he just gets some HP back, and now some residual recovery comes out for everybody on the field thanks to the Grassy Terrain as the Trick Room goes away.
That competitive boost, if he dropped it, stat would have been really fun. But now Nathan knowing Tapu Bulu is faster. Maybe he didn't know that on in game one. This time seems like an obvious protect Feeny turn. So maybe get a little gutsy. You're in top 4 here in Charlotte. Make a move and don't protect and go for that +1 Calm Mind. But I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's why Nathan is in top cut and we're here behind the desk. So Aegislash comes out. It's going to be able to resist the Wood Hammer, no problem. But we actually see a Horn lead. So Wolf reading into that. That was a great call from him. The crit clearly not mattering, and now the Milotic is free to just recover off some of the damage that it's taken from the Gardevoir. So really, Wolf is able to get a KO as Nathan just switches in his Pokemon, and he still has all 4, and now they're all at full health, basically. Well, Aegislash is damage in the back, but you know what I mean.
He'll get there after all the Grassy Terrain and leftover boost.
Yeah.
But with losing Tapu Fini there, now when it switches back in, you'll get rid of Grassy Terrain. But it had the Calm Mind boost, so if it went for another Calm Mind or that Moonblast onto Tapu Bulu, Bulu is not known for its special defense.
Nope.
Maybe you also could have got a drop. There was I don't know about switching Feeny out on that turn because what happened was Gardevoir went down without providing any offense. Aegislash switched into that slot, and again, yet another turn of nothing attacking or threatening Wolf's Pokemon.
So here's an interesting question, Joe. We don't know we know what all 4 of Wolf's Pokemon is going for a Z move and protecting the Finny into that slot where the Bulu is, trying to get a knockout on that Bulu, but maybe catching the Aegislash, maybe catching the Landorus. You think that's the best play that Nathan has?
It actually could be. It could be because you have to see if the Aegislash is going to be able to stick around, and after a Swords Dance, that's going to take even more damage.
What a bold move. So Scald coming out now onto this Aegislash is not doing much damage, can't burn anymore, and a Moonblast will do a lot of damage to the Bulu, so you may not even need the Z move at this point. But Nathan, he wants to be absolutely sure that he is getting a knockout on this point, doing the Z move himself to encourage the Aegislash to get that damage. But I think he really needs this if he wants to stick around.
Yeah, you got to go down swinging. You can't have any regrets here in top 4. This is your most offense you are going to get potentially out of Aegislash in this entire game. With a never-ending nightmare into Tapu Bulu, this will almost certainly knock it out and bringing that Pokemon count down from 4-2 to 3-2. And now it is Melodic and maybe the Landorus switching back in here for an Intimidate. I don't really see how it affects anything, but or we can have that Aegislash mirror like it's Pokken.
Right, exactly. And so we're switching games here a little bit, perhaps, but it is actually going to be the Landorus. But honestly, this is huge, right? Because the Bulu was such a problem for Nathan, and now his Tapu Fini doesn't have to worry about the Milotic as long as he doesn't accidentally give it a competitive boost, and he doesn't have to worry about the special attacks from the Landorus quite so much. He can just start pumping damage in that slot and then maybe cover for an Aegislash switch in somewhere else.
Right. So we Nathan has 3 Pokemon left. I kind of misspoke there. But the Tapu Fini, a Muddy Water still does, or Scald, if you want the accuracy, still does a lot to Landorus. But without a Calm Mind boost, I believe it does not knock out the Landorus since it is only 2 times weak. So that's not enough. This is a very safe King Shield, though, in case the Landorus goes for a U-turn or an Earthquake.
Right, or an Earth Power.
Right.
Yeah, there
special.
it is.
Yep.
Yeah, so no damage into that slot. Milotic getting the chance to go for an Icy Wind, just wants to make sure that if anything was going to switch in, it was going to be slower than whatever Wolfe has. So also important to note that I think that's a Choice Scarf Landorus, if I'm not mistaken. And so now it's locked into Earth Power. That gives Finny the chance to go for a Calm Mind, which is going to make it take even less damage from the Milotic, from the Landorus, and even from the Aegislash. So honestly, can Nathan just keep setting up Calm Minds and win with no damage?
Tapu Fini is going to have to find its Zen and Calm Mind every turn as high as it can, because it is not worried about Scald. It's resisted. And the one downside of Special Landorus is these Earth Powers are going to do less and less. Sure, you'll do a lot to Aegislash, not for a knockout, but nothing to Fini after a bunch of Calm Minds.
Right, but the Scald double target does get rid of the Aegislash, so that means that Wolfe's Aegislash is in a slightly safer position despite how damaged it is. But Nathan knows he wants to just try and get rid of this Landorus if he can, and the Scald is enough to pick up the knockout. So now it's just Aegislash and Milotic versus whatever Nathan has in the back, and you really hope it's that Zapdos if you're Nathan and not the Incineroar.
It better not be Incineroar or Landorus. That's yeah,
that could be a problem.
That he has a 2/3 option of really hurting himself, and there is the Incineroar. So after this Intimidate, the Milotic is very happy, saying, "Welcome, please grab a chair, Incineroar, stay a while, give me this competitive boost."
Okay, but it's not the worst thing in the world because you can still hit the Aegislash, right? So as long
but
as
you can't fake out and knock off on the same turn. Like,
no.
That's the problem.
Right. Well, okay, so maybe you fake out the Milotic so that you burn a potential King Shield. You got to worry about you cover the substitute with a Scald, and then next turn you hope that you're faster and you try to get the knockout on the Aegislash before the Milotic takes you down.
You could be faster considering how Aegislash was the slowest Pokemon and undersped everything else in Trick Room.
Right.
If Nathan kind of just left his Incineroar alone and didn't really mess with wondering its speed tier, Aegislash is probably slower than it. So that fake out into Milotic, but no King Shield.
No, okay, so it looks like the Milotic is not going to move this turn. The Aegislash actually moving before the Tapu Fini, so it gets a chance to substitute, but the Scald will get rid of that, right? So with a critical hit, not really mattering thanks to that friendly substitute, but that basically just means that now Wolfe, he can go for the King Shield. He didn't do it this turn, and so it's going to be interesting to see what this Incineroar does.
I think the only option is knockoff. It'll be faster than Aegislash, but not faster than Milotic. And after the competitive boost, we saw in Game 1, Incineroar had no chance of surviving a Scald from it. So Wolfe is safe to go for the Scald again into that slot.
Well, here's the King Shield, so yeah, that Aegislash is not going anywhere this turn. Milotic is indeed faster. This +2 Scald is going to do a lot of damage. It's not going to pick up the KO. The Milotic was at +4 last time, Joe. So,
and it wasn't at full health last time.
Right, okay, so that's crucial because now the Incineroar survives, it eats its berry, and it correctly knocks off the Milotic, okay? So that's, and a critical hit, so the Wiki Berry's gone. Tapu Fini gets a Calm Mind. It doesn't get a KO. Oh, that would have been huge if it had gotten the Moonblast in that slot, but either way, Tapu Fini is just skyrocketing its stats, its important stats here, and Incineroar is going to go down to another Scald, but wow, Nathan is actually in a position where he can win this.
Right, but the savagery of Incineroar to eat its berry, recover its HP, and then knock off Milotic's berry on the same turn.
Only I get this.
When it would have activated and saying, no, you can't recover 50% of your HP. That was huge. When it goes down to a Scald this turn, it did its job. Aegislash can't King Shield again this turn, so Tapu Fini can go for a +2 Muddy Water and hope to hit both of Wolfe's targets here.
Yeah, although I think actually we've seen it's just that Scald, so he's going to have to pick whether it's the Aegislash or he wants to get rid of this Milotic. Milotic going first, though, getting rid of this Incineroar definitely is going to be enough revenge for ruining Snack Time. And so now it is a 2v1 situation. And the Misty Terrain, though, this is huge, is gone. So the Fini, which is very slow, is poisoned. and that means it's on a timer now. And Wolfe's Milotic has recover. So even though the Aegislash goes down to a Scald, if Wolfe can just keep recovering off the damage while his Tapu Fini goes down, he can still win this. But it's going to be tough.
I think I can count on my hand the amount of times I've seen a Tapu Fini be poisoned in my life, because it always has Misty Terrain up.
Right.
So you really never even think of it getting a status like poison. And this one, with the residual damage increasing each turn thanks to Toxic, Melodic, it's not going to win with damage. Sure, it has a competitive boost, but it just has Scald, and Fini keeps Calm Minding, and that Scald's going to do less and less each turn. So it's only, or Wolfe's best option for winning game 2 here is to just recover until Tapu Fini is no longer there.
And I think, though, that this is really smart of Nathan to recognize that what it's important to do is to get as much damage as possible. You want to get to +6 so that you can just override, you can do more damage than Wolfe is recovering every turn, right? So you just want to get a big Moonblast out, even if you get a competitive boost, not the end of the world, and then you've got the Wiki Berry still, so when Toxic eventually takes you below that point, assuming, it doesn't work out so that it does more damage, and you end up fainting, Nathan probably will still be able to win this game.
But that is the catch-22 of going for Calm Mind every turn. Is sure, you're boosting your special defense and special attack and being stronger and having more output of damage eventually, but you at the same time are taking more damage, and the toll starts to rack up more and more the longer you're on the field with poison. I do believe, though, it will survive after this next poison tick. It will go down and eat its Wiki Berry. So this is a turn for maybe the last chance at a Calm Mind, but that would be what, +4, +5? I don't have the exact number.
We didn't think it would get that high, but
yeah.
It looks like the Moonblast is going to do a lot of damage, but that Scald might have put it low enough that it's going to faint. So unless he gets a knockout here, it's going to be really close, Joe. No, it's not enough. So that Scald, what a crucial move from Wolfe. Even though he was at like a +4 Calm Mind in special defense, it was just enough of a Scald to put it in range where that poison is going to be able to take it down. What smart play from Wolfe Glick.
And who knows if without the competitive boost that resisted +4 special defense Fini would have taken it up, and that was just great from Wolfe. He understood.
Incredible.
I can't let Fini get its Wiki Berry. I can't let it eat and get that recovery, because next turn we saw how much that Moonblast did. It would have knocked out the Fini no matter how, or the Melodic, no matter how many times it recovered.
Right.
So that was just masterful play from one of the best masters in the country and in the world.
And Nathan he also played that game too so well. The way he was able to manage everything, and ultimately, it just came down to something you don't tend to prepare for. Toxic on Aegislash, going onto your Tapu Fini, right? So it's hard to blame him for the way that ended, because it's something you see so rarely. But
absolutely,
but when
he brought it back and had a chance to win there.
Right, but when you're at this high level and you're facing someone like Wolfe, it's just something you got to think about, and you really kind of have to elevate yourself to get over that hump. And today wasn't his day, but Nathan, maybe if Wolfe wins this regional, Nathan will go to another one. They'll be back tied again.
They'll be tied again, right?
Yeah, they'll keep that number the same.
They always say in sports you're supposed to root for the team that knocked you out of the playoffs.
Right.
Because that shows that you were good because you
Right.
played the winner. So Nathan, I'm sure in the finals, will be rooting for Wolfe over the winner of our next top 4 match.
Right, and so speaking of that next top 4 match, we're not going to make you wait too much longer for it. So we are going to sign off for now, and we will be back. I think it's going to be Joe here on this next one, and Joe and Tommy, and it should be a good time. So thank you for watching Battle Factory. We'll be back soon.